So audience, we have to start with module 9, that is serverless computing. Audience, don't think we are going to discuss anything related with function, service bus. Okay, no, we are not going to discuss all those things, which is a part of separate course, separate modules. So in serverless computing module, we are going to discuss basically web applications, container instances, and Kubernetes. Okay, so this is the three main concepts we are going to discuss in this module. So we have 5 modules here in this module, in this book, 5 lessons. Sorry. So last lesson is telling about the labs and the review query. Lesson 4 is telling about Kubernetes service, how we can configure it. We will see this. Container instance, what is container, how we can configure it. Azure App Services and App Service Plan. So lesson 1 and lesson 2 are related with the web app service that we can provision from Azure. Lesson 3 is regarding container instances and lesson 4 is Kubernetes. So let's move on. Azure App Service Plan. Audience, Azure App Service Plan is an instance, a bare metal instance. Like you have a physical machine or virtual machine, and you want to, and you are running an application or service. So that physical or virtual machine is called App Service Plan. Now it depends on you that how many service or how many application you are hosting onto the same virtual machine or same physical machine. That is depends on choice, right? So same kind of concept also apply in our web application area in Azure. In App Service Plan, we have different type of plan available, like free, shared. Free and shared, this service plan tell you that okay, you can host your web service, you can host your web applications there, but that will be hosted on a shared platform or shared instance. So that shared instance can be shared by other account. Maybe that account we don't know outside of our visibility. Okay. So Microsoft have a pool of servers where every customer can open their account and means they can start their web service and they can test the web service. So free and shared service plan tell you that you can host your web service in a shared location, which has been shared by many people, many accounts has been shared, and that has to be used for the testing purpose. Okay, for production, don't go for the free and shared service plan. We have another service plan called Basic, Standard, Premium. Okay, so Basic, Standard, Premium is saying that this is also shared, but this shared pool or shared instance is not shared by the other account holder. It is shared by you only. So let's say you have 5 web application service. So all 5 web application service will put into the same service plan. It is not shared by anyone else. You are itself, you will actually sharing your instances by applying multiple web application service there. So that is called Basic, Standard, and Premium web application service plan. And last one is Isolate. The isolate means every web service has their own isolate instance. It is not shared by any other account. It is not shared by any other web service. All the web service has its own isolation area. Like every virtual machine is dedicated for one service or one application. Same kind of concept here it is. One instance, one physical instance will be applicable for one particular web service. So most of the cases, the production environment running with isolate manner. But if web service is not required any high-end connectivity or isolation, if it is not required, then you can host your web service plan in a basic, standard, or premium areas. Okay, so that you can host multiple web service instances under same plan. And free and basic you can use for the testing purpose, right? So those things we will discuss. Web service price tiering, service plan scaling. Let's see. So web service plan is an instance or bare metal instance where you can host your web application service. Web application service is a PaaS solution. So to host your web application service, whatever the prerequisites, like bare metal instances, operating system, binaries, and your applications. Everything will be provided by Microsoft. So your task is to enjoy the service. Yes, obviously you can do some modification in top of the application service. That's okay, but you cannot change the background infrastructure. What operating system it is using depends on your choice, obviously. But yeah, that operating system you cannot patch, you cannot upgrade, you cannot modify. App service plan tiers. So if you go with the free and shared, there is some features available like web application, mobile and API apps. You can go up to 10 web applications. You can start 10 mobile applications or combination. Okay. If you go for the shared, then you can create up to 100 web applications and mobile applications instances there. But if you go for the basic, standard, premium, isolate, there is a no limitations of hosting web application services there. This space for free, you will get a 1 GB of quota. I would say quota because it is a shared pool. For shared, you will get a 1 GB of quota. But in case of basic, standard, and premium, they have their own dedicated storage space. This storage space is used by you only. Okay. Though you can install many web services inside it, but this space is applicable for you. It is not being shared by other account holder. And for isolate, you will get a 1 TB. I'm sorry. In case of isolate, you will get a 1 TB of storage space. Auto scale, for free and shared, there is no function of auto scale. You cannot do the scale because it is shared by different account holder. The scaling option supported from the standard one. Deployment slots. Deployment slots means where you are standing. See, when we write a code, doesn't mean you just directly apply the code to the production. So you have to test it. After testing, you can provision it as a beta version. So if it is everything good, then you can make it available. You can push it to the production environment. So these are the different slots. So we have a testing slot, we have a staging slot, and we have a production slot. Okay, in the service plan. So where you are right now standing during the initial stage of the application development, you are standing at the testing testing plan or testing slots. After testing, you can just give a beta version of your code. So when it is monitoring, it is checking that whether it is running on code or not. So that is goes to the staging slot. And finally, if everything is okay, then you can push it to the production slot. So how many slots you can create, testing, production, and staging? So depends on the service plan. Free, shared, and basic, there is a no slots available, but from the standard, there is a slots available. Okay. Maximum instances, you can create maximum 3 instances in case of basic. For standard, there is a 10 instance, and for premium, there is a 30 instance you can create, and isolate, there is a 100 instances. Okay. Scaling, we can have an option for scaling because when you run a web service plan, this web service plan actually come up with a virtual machine. Okay, and behind when we configure the web application service, the virtual machine is automatically provisioned. So since it is a virtual machine and we have a bare metal instances, so here you can find your scale out and scale in option available. Same way, scale up and scale out option is also available. Okay, both the scaling option you can see, scale up and scale out. Both option is available with the app service plan. Scale up and scale down is a concept of increasing individual memory, CPU, and bare metal components. And scale out scaling is a scaling of increasing the instances. Okay. So you have to define the rules when it will trigger the scale up, scale down, or when it will trigger scale out and scaling. But both will use to support your extra workload. So Azure App Service, before we move to the app service, let me go to the portal and create the app service plan, and then we can configure the app service based on it. So there is an app service plan. Click on it. Resource group. Choose your resource group. Name of the service plan. Or app service plan. Operating system, I will go for the Windows. Region, you can choose your region where you want to create the web service plan, app service plan. Sorry. Just US2. Now this is the size. You can change the size. So now it is showing 100 CPU actually. So there is a 3 pricing tier, that is free and shared. Okay. If you look into this, there is a 1 GB of memory, 60 minutes per day compute free. Okay, there is some what is called limitations, you can say. Shared infrastructure, 1 GB 1 GB memory to 40 minutes is free. Okay, and rupees is 627, 125 rupees per month estimated cost. And if you go with the 100 ACU, okay, so there is other additional option is available with V2, V3. Yeah, application compute. Sorry, application computing unit. Samantha. This is actually virtual name of the CPU. Okay. Instead of CPU, we are using ACU. Okay. 200 total ACU is available. So 14,475 rupees if you choose V3. So these are the options available with Dev and Desk, development and testing purpose. If you go to the production, there is another service plan available. You choose first. You have to check that how many AC application computing environment you will get, what the size of the memory. Okay, so based on that, if you think this that S1 or S3 is suitable for your environment, you can go for it. Okay. Like if you choose S3, there is a 400 SEU, 7 GB of memory, and price is 19,300. Okay, so you can choose any of them. Let's choose something lower for our demonstration purpose. Okay, let's go with this one. V1, apply. Okay, let me see. If I choose V1, what are the additional feature I can have? In V1, we will get custom domain addition, manual scaling up to 3 instances, Azure compute units. Okay, memory is, you can see the memory 1.7 GB, and storage is 10 GB. Maximum size is 10 GB, but there is scaling, but up to 3 instances. If you need 5 or 4 instances, if you have a plan, then don't choose this one. You can choose the service plan, and you can see how many instances you will get in a scale. And there is a manual scale. There is no auto scale option available. Right. So, which is production also. Let me see that is. In production, I can have auto scale up to 10 instances. staging slot I can see, storage I have up to 50 GB, Azure compute resources or compute unit is available. Okay, traffic manager we can add, daily backup we can do. So many things we can do, but the amount I have to pay, that is 9,650 per month estimated. So I can go with that. It is not so much high for one day activity. Right. So after choosing your bare metal instances and memory everything, now I can go to the tag or I can just review and create my options. So what I did, audience, I just create a platform. Okay, under in top of this platform, now I'm going to provision my application service. So since I have a platform, that platform includes my bare metals. Okay, and if bare metal includes CPU, memory, and all other stuff, networking. Okay, and every kind of extra facilities that I could have, like custom domain name addition, scaling process, and okay, total hard drive or total permanent storage that I can get. So everything we can get under the service plan. Now let it be clear. So once it is created, I will have my platform. Now I can play with the platform. What I will do, I will initiate my web application service in top of this platform. Okay, and based on the platform facilities, I can scale it. Means I can scale up or I can scale down, or I can scale out or scale in. So whatever scaling I need, horizontal or vertical, that kind of scale options I will have with my service plan, so I can use it later. Okay, so let it be. When it is deploying my platform, in between we can go to the slide and discuss the theory part, and we'll come back again and deploy our applications, web application service. Okay, now it has been already deployed, right? Let me open it. So since I don't have any apps right now, it is here, now it is empty. But you can see there is a scale up, scale out options available. Okay, auto scale option available as per my choice. So scale up means I can change. Right now I'm using S2, but if I wish, I can go to S1, S3, P1, P2. Like the entire bare metal instance size service plan, I can change it. That is comes under the scale up. And in case of scale out, that is the horizontal scaling, increasing the instances. So like yesterday, we had a scale out threshold value. Remember? So same kind of concept is also applied here. Scale mode, scale based on the matrix, scale on based on the instance count. Okay, so you have to define the rules. Based on the rules, your instances will be increasing. How many instances should be present at your environment? How many instance is maximum that you can go increase? Okay, those things you can discuss here, and you can mention the another scale conditions also. So these are the flexibility you have with your service plan. Your service plan is this one. If I go to scale up or overview also, you can find the service plan information. S2 1. This is your service plan. So your CPU percentage, memory, data in, data out. So overall activity you can see from here. Okay, now let me go to the lesson 2, Azure App Services. In Azure App Services, we have to discuss what is Azure App Service, creating service, app service, deployment slots, deployments, creating the deployment slot if it is required, securing app service, custom domain name, backup, and app service, application insights. So these are the things we can do here, right? Azure App Service are supporting all the industry standard codes. Means you can write your code using .NET, you can write your code using Python, Java. Okay, so every kind of all the industry standard language most probably we are using in our area. All the languages are supported by the app services. We can also add Docker containers, okay, and the applications in the app service. So that is in preview actually. It is not yet available in a general purpose way. It is in preview mode. You can use it and you can test it. But apart from the container concepts, all the industry standard coding, all the programming language we are using to develop our applications, all are supported by the app service, web app service. Creating app service, we can just create the app service by providing necessary information like subscription, resource group, okay, name, publish means you are publishing the code, or you can just invite the Docker image, what your requirement is. That based on that you have to choose. If you send a code, then your runtime is Java, runtime is Python or .NET framework, whatever. So those information you have to put. Okay. After putting the information, you have to choose your service plan. Once you choose the service plan, okay, now you can provision your application services. So by default, there is a web portal, there is a web page available which is saying that welcome to Azure web app, like that. But if you wish, you can upload your own code also. Deployment slot, as I told you, deployment slot is called testing, staging, and production. So first time when you run your code, that would be considered as a testing slot. When you test your means when you available your code or application as a beta version for your customer, then it is called staging slot. You have to take the feedback from your customer, and finally when everything is okay, then you can made your application in a production slot, so that when it is in production slot, now it is available for the customer in a applicable way, means they can use for their own purpose. So you can add the slot if you wish according to your requirement. Sorry. According to your requirement, you can add your slots. Okay. So you can provide the name of your slots, clone settings from that. If you want to make a clone of your previous code, application code, you can do so. And then you can make some changes inside it if it is required. Okay, instead of writing the same code again and again for every slot, you can make the clone of the previous slot, and if it is required, you can do some changes there. Securing app services, yes, we can provide the security by enable the HTTPS communication. Okay, so TLS version, it is also showing 1.2 latest version. So if your web browser doesn't support 1.2, you may get some kind of problem. So you have to check your web browser is supporting TLS version 1.2. Although web browser is supporting it, but you can uh, check with your web browser. You can upload your own TLS or SSL finding, means you can upload your own certificates if it is required. So provide more security. Okay. By default, Microsoft is providing the certificate, but instead of using Microsoft certificate, you can upload your own company-based or a third-party authorized CA-based certificate to provide security to your app service. Okay. Authentication for web app service, we have authentication for Azure Active Directory. We have Microsoft account that we can use, and we have the social networking communication also, like Facebook, Google, Twitter. So using that also we can log in. But yes, we have to provide that facility to our customer. Otherwise, they can't log in. Custom domain name. Against your web application service, you can add custom domain name. So instead of calling your web application service with the name provided by Azure, you can define some custom name there. Okay. So let's say you have made tcs.com. So when someone asks or try to page www.tcs.com, tcs.com, the client will get a particular web service that is hosted on the Azure in a web service in a web app service. So you can add the custom domain. Backup, you can do the backup. since the virtual machine is running behind, so you have an option for backup. Backup is good choice if you have uploaded your code, okay, and somehow your region is down wherever you have placed it, then the backup will provide the solution. So you have up to 10 GB of application information backup and database content backup. So when you do the backup, you have to schedule accordingly. Application Insight, this is a monitoring tool, you can say, that will monitor your application activities, checking your usability, everything, how it is going on. If it is required, you can generate the alert. Okay, the data that Application Insight is storing, you can add with the any BI related tools for further analyzing. Okay, you can check your data or download the information from the Visual Studio. You have an integration point where any REST API, if you wish, you can integrate, or you can export the data in the form of Excel or CSV, depends. So application insight just give you the inside information or monitoring information that how your web application environment is running. Container service. So before we go for the container, let me host a web application service in my service plan that we have done, and then we can go for the container instance. So now we have to configure the application service. App service. Click on app service. Okay. Audience, I did one mistake. What mistake? Previously, the service plan I had, I was creating in a subscription of Azure Pass. But my DNS zone has configured in MSDN platform. So I can't use that web service plan that I have already configured. Okay. So what I can do, because I need to show you the custom domain name, how to associate with your web application service. To add the custom domain name, I need a DNS hosting, Azure-based DNS hosting, right? But that is present in MSDN platform, MSDN subscription, that is not there in Azure Pass. So what I can do, let me check. Let me change the subscription first. And choose what is between 1 minute. DNS. One DNS zone present in location is global MSDN. Is global DNS zone. Yes, audience, any query? Introduction. What ERG is app service.
Sujit, is there any application in the app service? that we can
No,
run?
there is a default application, means not an application. It is just give you one web page only, but there is no specific application present in the app service. It is just when you configure the app service, it is giving you a default web page which is showing where welcome to Azure App Service and basic information about the web app service. That's all. But if you wish, you can upload your own code there. Am I clear, sir?
Yeah.
So let me go to the .org name. Provide your name. Uh, web app one. Now it is okay. It's not available. Choose something else. App. App is also not available. Instance details. App. Not. Cloud Sol app. I think that will be available. Yes. So Cloud Sol app. The full name is cloudsolapp.azurewebsites.net. So this is the default DNS level name, you can say, or full qualified name. Full qualified name that is uh, publicly available. After creating this web service, I can access my web service using this full qualified name, cloudsolapp.azurewebsites.net. So publishing code, either I can use the Docker image if I have, or Docker container if I have, or I can go with the code. Is it so? Audience, my voice is clear to you all, or some kind of disturbance you are finding? Hello, audience. This is Sujit. Disturbance is there. It's now it's clear. Okay, I think now it's clear. Little noise. Uh, Wait for a while, audience. So code will be my yeah, I will go to the code. I don't have any Docker container right now, so I will go with the code. And runtime stack, I need to choose my runtime, that what runtime I'm going to use to upload my code in future maybe. So choose your runtime, whatever you need to add, and based on that, you can upload your code in future. So just for demonstration, let me go with .NET Core 2.1 LTS. LTS is maybe something related with the .NET platform. Okay. Now operating system, since I chose .NET Core, so automatically it has chosen Windows, because .NET Core I don't think Linux is supporting. Okay. Maybe it is supporting. I'm not sure about that. Region, let's say I'll choose East US 2. That is my region, I can say. Where is East US? Yes. Okay. Thanks, Abhishek. Long-term support. Okay. Thank you. So the developers and the DPS, they might know this. Anyway, thanks, Abhishek, for the input. So is TVS 2 Windows plan. Okay, as I told you that I have created the plan earlier in my previous demonstration, but that plan was present in a different subscription. So I'm not getting the plan here. Okay. So what I can do, I can create my own plan right now. I can provide the name of the plan, like cloud sol plan and change the size. By default it has taken this one, but if I wish to do something else, let me go with this one. What features I can get? Auto scale. Okay, sounds good. So this is my plan, and I chose my bare metal instances also. Now go to monitoring. Now enable application insights. If you enable application insights, it is creating an applicable application insights service. Actually, application insights is a service, so it is creating automatically. Otherwise, if you think that okay, this is my testing purpose, I don't need to monitor all those stuff, and don't need to spend money. Okay, then you can make it stop. Okay, so just for demonstration purpose, I'm just make it stop right now and create. Wait for a while. The deployment has been started. It will be end soon. Once it is once it is end, I will go inside the applications and we'll see how to call the application and how to add custom domain with my application, how to do the scaling. Scaling we have seen. Okay, and other characteristics also we will discuss. Just let it be create. Then we can move inside. Okay. Yes. So this is your web application service has been configured, and there is a URL you can see cloudsolApp.azurewebsites.net that you can call directly. Just do the copy and you can call it. So this is the default web applications websites or web page you can say, that gives you some information about the Azure Web App Service. Okay, so if you have any code, you can upload and you can test it, that how does it work. Now what I can do, I just scroll a bit. We have an option called deployment slots, as I told you. So right now my CloudSol app running in a production mode, production slot I can say. Okay, traffic percentage 100%. I can add the slot. So you can take the slot like testing. Okay, you can clone it, then you can add it. So there is an option for swapping the slot. You can click it. So source is this one, cloud app test, and target is this one. So you can do the swap. If you have multiple slots, you can do the swap. Okay, and right now I'm not going to swap anything here. So just to show you how to do it. So the deployment slots are live app with their own host names. App content and configuration element can be swapped between two deployment slots, including the production slots. Okay, so by default, whatever slots you are doing uh, during your creation process, that all comes under the production slot. Okay, so if you create your extra slot, that will either be a test slot or staging slot. So after getting your testing and staging, what you can do, you can swap with the production one. So if you done any changes here in this particular slot, okay, and you do the swap, what will happen, all the changes will be updated into the production one. Like you have a code here, okay. You have a code here and you do some changes in the code. After changing the code, if you find that this, okay, this particular application good enough, everything is okay, there is no problem, finally what you can do, you can just write the swap, click on the swap and swap it with the production one. So this is your target source, you can mention your source, okay, and then finally you can change the code, means replace the code you have mentioned here, that will be updated here in the target one. So once it is available here, your customer, your user, all can access this particular thing. Okay, so this is the ultimate is the production environment and rest production slot, and rest of the slot either you can use as a testing purpose or staging purpose. Got it, audience? Close it. Okay, now there is an authentication option in the settings. App service authentication, by default it is off, you can make it on. So when you make it on, action to take when request is not authenticated, you can mention the action. Authentication provider, either Azure Active Directory, you can configure it, Microsoft account, Facebook, Google. So these are the social networking account that you can use to authenticate your user when they try to access your applications from the web app service. Okay, so these are the authentication main options you can configure here for security. There is an application inside, though I didn't open the application insights yet, but if you open the application inside during your application service creation process, you can configure it. See, I didn't open it, so it is asking me to open it. There is a backup option, you can check the identity. There is a custom domain name. Now if you go to the custom domain name, you can add your custom domain with your DNS hosting. The DNS hosting you have, you can add it. So how to add? Add the custom domain, enter the custom domain name, cloudsol.ml, validate. So once you try to validate it, okay, it is providing you two record, txt record and a record. What you need to do, you have to copy this value and update this value with your DNS, Azure DNS that you have hosted. Okay, and once you do this, you just refresh it. The validation will be complete, and finally you can use that particular domain name to access your web app service. So how it is happening? Let me create a duplicate. What I open? NSPI connection. Wait for a while. Yeah. So here, if I open DNS zone, I have cloudsol.ml. Delegation is already running behind of this DNS zone, so it is publicly available. Okay. Come to your web application area and copy these informations. So first is type is txt, host is suid, okay, and value is this one. So what I can do, copy this one, add a record set, type is txt, value this one, and name is ASUID, ASUID, okay. Creating record set. Record set is updated with ASUID with the value of this one. Again, come here, copy the IP address of the A record and update it again here. It's required. Both the record is required to update here. So record type is A and value is this one, and host name is @ right? Yeah, that is the custom one. Done. Creating the record set. Once it is done successfully, come to here and try to validate. It may take some time to propagate the DNS information, but yeah, it is refreshing now. Wait for a while. Domain propagation, DNS provider, it can take up to 48 hours. So wait for a while once it is validated properly. Okay. You can check it. Otherwise, we do have the other options also. But anyway, let me check. My DNS is running good. SUID. Anyway, let me go with my this one only. Wait for a while, audience. Once it is completed, because it is may take 48 hours, you can see. So it's not happening very quickly. It will take time. Once it is complete, then we can see the custom domain name here. Okay, so what I can do, let me go back to my slide and see what are the other configurations, what are the other topic that we need to discuss. Let's see what is container before we go for the slide and discuss and the container service in a theoretical manner. Let me open my paint. That is my famous painting area. Though my drawing is very bad, but yes, to understand this, to understand the concept, we need this one. So audience, normally what we are doing, if we have a physical machine, let's say I have a physical machine, right? And in this physical machine, I can create multiple virtual machine. This concept is not new concepts. We are using a lot. So this is my physical machine, and I have some platform where my operating system, my hypervisor is running, and top of the hypervisor, my VM are also running, right? And all the VMs that I have been deploy in my virtual machine or in my physical machine, all the VMs are considering as a separate computer. So it has its own operating system. Let's say one VM is running with Windows machine and Windows operating system, and one VM is running with Linux operating system. So both we can do it because both the virtual machine has its own world. They are isolate, they are sharing the bare metal infrastructure, but they feel that they are isolate. So whatever application you are running inside that VM, that application is also isolate. But the problem with the VM is, first of all, VM is virtualizing the bare metal. Okay, it is sharing your CPU, RAM, memory, and hard drive and everything, networking, and all VMs has their own full size of operating system available. Like if I take a Windows example, then Windows 10 machine will take at least 8 GB or 9 GB of memory. Okay, your hard drive, I would say. So all the machines, so if your host machine is running 1 TB of hard drive, running with a 1 TB of hard drive, you maybe create uh, 10 or 20 machines if you just use very low amount of memory for every virtual machine, right? So your host machine is getting heavy loaded if you run 10 virtual machine. Okay, it is heavy loaded, not possible, because we are not providing RAM as much as possible that my VM is required, right? So virtual machine is actually a bare metal virtualization, and all virtual machine has its own area to run, and they are using a lots of uh, system specific areas. Okay, and if you run multiple virtual machine under one host machine, maybe host machine is going down or the performance is getting slow, right? Now to solve this problem, the container concept has came. The container is saying that don't need to create a virtual machine for your application or for your service. Instead, you have to create an image, and that image will have your application required binaries, and the runtimes. So if your application have the binaries or prerequisites and runtime, your application can run smoothly. Because if you install any application to your virtual machine, it is not true that your application is using entire virtual machine or entire hard drive, entire RAM. No, not like that. So after installing one application in your virtual machine or in your host machine, there is enough size, enough options available where we can host another application or we can start another application. Maybe multiple application we can host using single virtual machine. So we have that much of space available, that much of flexibility we can get from one virtual machine. So instead of creating a virtual machine for one application, you have to create a package. So in a package, what you will get your application, that application required to install or required to run, the required binaries, application, binaries, plus runtime environment. Okay. So these are the information present in the package. This is the package, you can say, image package. So now you have to run this image package in top of the host machine. Now when you run the image package in top of the host machine, it is using your operating system to execute. It is required operating system to execute the package. Once package is executing, your application is also running inside it. So what your application is thinking, that application thinking, this is my entire world and I'm the alone person who is sitting in this world. Maybe your application requirement is your application whenever it runs, it is required a single instance, means along with this application, no other application can execute. Like in case of SQL Server, we are installing SQL service, okay, and we are considering that the machine we are using for SQL Server activities, that machine should not host any other application.
Okay, it doesn't mean that SQL Server is SQL Server is taking all the machine resources. No, not like that. But yes, something which is recommended by Microsoft, because SQL Server required seamless connectivity, seamless processing. So if any other application running, maybe it is interrupting SQL Server activity, since it is hosting some critical database of the company. So if that application requirement is like same, like it needs a separate isolation, separate environment to run, and there is no other application available, you can fulfill that one also. So when your application is having the required binaries and the runtime environment available with it, and you just place the package in a top of the operating system, it will start running. Okay. Now, along with this application, you can run another application. So same way, if you run another image package of another application, that application is thinking that, okay, I'm the alone person who is using this computing environment. So all the application, though hosted in a same platform, but they feel they are alone. So what it is using OS based virtualization. The container image is using OS based virtualization, whereas virtual machine is using bare metal virtualization. Okay, and the size of the image obviously depends on the application you are hosting, the service you are hosting, but most of the time the image size is very small. So to download the image and to deploy the image, it will not take so much time. Now you can think that how do I get the image? This image actually provided by the Docker. Previously for Linux environment, Docker is a company. They are producing this kind of compressed version of application image, and they are providing to the Linux to deploy their end. But later, when Microsoft come up with the Windows Server 16 operating system, they also have a communication with the Docker, and Docker is providing image, same kind of container image for the Windows platform also. So in Server 2016 environment, we can run container instances there. Okay, Docker container instances. So now Azure also introduced the same thing. So in Azure, you can create a container instance, and under the container instance, you can run your container image. In Azure, we have a container registry. The container registry, you can say the repository where you can upload your image from uh, Docker or from GitHub. After uploading it, now you can provision it to the container instances. So container instance is an area executing environment where image will be provisioned and image can be executed there. Got it. So this is called container image. Now Docker was the company who is using it, but nowadays Microsoft also have the container image available. So in production environment, either of the company you can use. You can use as a Docker container, you can use Microsoft container. Choice is yours. Okay. So, but in Azure environment, audience, Azure is supporting only Docker container instances right now. Okay. Maybe they have added Microsoft also. Let me check in the portal. I will see the information in the portal itself. But they are supporting container, Docker container images. Okay, so this is called container service. So whatever networking is required, that all will be there. All will be managed by the Azure itself, to making a communication between your instances and the virtual network, traffic communication. Everything is managed by the Azure itself. Okay. So now we have to configure the container instance in the Azure, and we will see how to provision images from the GitHub or the repository if you have. Okay, so those things we will discuss here. So before we go to the slide, let me open the portal and configure it.